how do we see ourselves as leaders? How do you define that, Pat?
I think it may be the most important question that we
Yeah,
have to come
yeah,
to terms with,
yeah.
because we got lost in that debate about whether men and women are actually different, whether men and women's brains function differently.
Mm,
And that's really not that's not where we should be spending our time, is debating that issue. It gets
mm,
us down into all kinds of difficult situations, and it creates division. What I
yeah.
have observed, and now what data actually proves, is that women and men, when they are really operating from their authentic selves, lead differently. Period. I mean, there's just so much. Now, that doesn't mean all men or all women, because none of us are the same, of course. So when we generalize and say all women are better leaders, well, that's going to lead you right into one of those arguments and debates. But if you look at the examples of what has happened when women lead companies and women lead countries, the majority of the data indicates that there is a different style of leadership, and that style of leadership, or that approach to leadership, leads to different outcomes. We say at Project
Right.
Dandelion, when women lead, action follows. And that's pretty much what the data shows. That when you look at the countries that have been led by women, and COVID was always brought up as an example, the 8 countries that were led by women during COVID had absolutely stunningly clear different outcomes than countries that weren't. And the reasons were: women acted quickly, stayed with their decisions once they were made, and were willing to take risk and chances, and didn't follow traditional paths. And there are example after example and
Wow.
real numbers that prove that. And then the women who have chosen to be CEOs of companies and do things differently, the same thing occurs. Now, you can also point to men who've been the same kind of leaders. So that's why it's dangerous, really, to
Yeah.
generalize too much about this. But in working with women leaders all over the world from all different kinds of cultures and religions and backgrounds, I have found that when women are in touch with their full life experiences,
Mm,
when they bring those full set of experiences and their
yeah.
intrinsic values to their
Yeah.
work,
Yeah.
they will lead differently.